I 100% believe that Drake did everything they said he did. What up, where's your boy Charles Brown back again talking facts. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit notification bell, keep sending those cash apps to CLBMG. Join the membership gang. Listen, I 100% believe everything in this lawsuit. I want to talk about this because these accusations are pretty egregious, right? This is crazy for a person to be accused of this, but I believe it. I believe it because of the person we're talking about. I believe it because someone who has been planted in this industry from day one for 15 years that has had the desire to claw, cheat, lie, and steal to get to the top, that will take records that aren't his, that will use music that isn't his, that will have guys write songs in their own voices and mimic their voice to stay on top and do a whole lot of other heinous things that we've all heard these stories, and we know for a fact that I want to say 85% of the stuff is true. I'm just going to be honest. I have no doubt that a person that Kendrick basically told you is a master manipulator, and I didn't know your boy was this devious until after this battle started. But it's gotten to a point I've seen so many breakdowns and research videos about what's going on in this industry and knowledge that I already had about this industry. It all makes sense. Every single piece they add to this puzzle makes sense. You can't be this greedy to have these many things and to be on top this desperately for me not to believe it and for most of us not to believe it. And there is absolutely no way that a person to achieve this level of success in the genre that you're specializing in with the type of music that you're putting out, even when people say that it's mid, for it still to be no matter what. I think we believe this stuff in a way because we're conditioned to believe that this is plausible, that a person, a rapper no less, right, can sustain 15 years of unparalleled success and continue to go up and up and up and up and achieve higher and higher amounts of streaming records and things of that nature without ever really changing or getting better or reinventing themselves. I don't know any rapper or any artist that stays the same, does the same show for 15 years, does the same kind of music with very little variations and with this many things. I don't know of any artist, especially hip-hop artists, that can have this many allegations of ghostwriting and fraudulent behavior and questionable behavior, sexual and otherwise. I can't think of a person with this many scandals, right? Michael Jackson barely survived one. This guy literally has a good 10 that you can, off the top of your head, you could come up with 10 scandals involving women, men, all kind of stuff, right? So it's just like, it's really, really strange to be able to continuously outdo yourself and to continuously chart and to continuously make hits. It's just not plausible, gang. I know we like to believe that it is because in a way, we just get tired of fighting it. We get tired of trying to rationalize it, and we got to hear it all day. But you got to understand what's been happening lately, gang. It's been so weird and ridiculous. We've been questioning it, but we've been seeing it for so many years. We just get tired of trying to prove this thing right, wrong, or indifferent. But here we are at the crossroads with this report. Salute to RBX, right? And I know they're going to say, RBX is from the West Coast. Oh, who's going to believe him? RBX is down with Dr. Dre's camp. Dr. Dre is down, is Aftermath. That's Kendrick's camp. Why would we believe RBX? Well, they got a couple receipts, gang. You know how you go into Walmart, right? You get you a pair of pantyhose and some Triscuits, and you go to the front, you pay for it, they give you a receipt. So bro came to this class action lawsuit with a receipt. Now I understand RBX is one of those old head bitter rappers. I'm just gonna be honest. I know what you're gonna say. Well, RBX bitter anyway. But RBX got a point with this. He's a part of this class action lawsuit, and he's saying that what happens with Spotify, and we're gonna talk about it, is they have a pool of money that they have to pay out evenly, allegedly, to all musicians, me, you, Granny Boo Boo, whoever making music, making songs, everyone gets a cut of the pie. Now, when Drake and Spotify conspired, and I told you a long time ago that Drake and Spotify have a very, very, very close working relationship. It's something on paper. I don't know exactly what exactly is, but Drake and Spotify have been in business for years. That's why I keep saying, of course, he's going to be number one on Spotify. Every time he could drop the most goony goo goo boo boo And this shit is #1 on Spotify within hours. So I'm like, that is a very strong working relationship. It has been for as long as Spotify been out. UMG jumped right on that relationship and they made that popping, right? But for years, Drake has been easily tops on Spotify. Doesn't matter the genre that comes out. Doesn't matter who comes out after him. He's right there with Latino artists, right there with everything that comes out. Drake can be country artists. He's right there with him. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what kind of song. Doesn't even have to break other other genres. It doesn't matter. It's still up in the top. It could be anything. Well, that comes with it. That's from the relationship with Spotify. And when they allow them to bot, that takes more money from the pool that's supposed to be split evenly, and it's going to say that there's less there. There's less there for us to give you, so we have to give you less. Therefore, when hundreds of millions of dollars are siphoned out because of bots, and they go and get advertisers, which is the other problem, that you're telling advertisers that Drake sells so many records. Remember that rumor that if Drake left the music industry would collapse? Well, I guess if you ain't got nobody to pin the bots on, it might be some validity to that. It's gang. I don't know if y'all realize how massive this is. Massive, gang. This is hundreds of millions of dollars in a scheme, and it revolves around, according to this lawsuit that which we're going to get into, it revolves around Drake. This is not about Drake. This is about being able to pin. I watch a show called Foundation, right? And there's a guy in there they call the Mule. When the Mule comes, it's going to take over everything and rule everything, right? Drake is the mule for this scheme. This scam basically allows Spotify to charge advertisers an obnoxious amount of money because the mule, which is Drake, is going to be able to deliver those eyes and ears, right? So they go on get IBM, Microsoft, whoever they're going to get, right? Fruit of the Looms, whoever it is, whoever's going to pay for that space, that ad time, including like Joe Budden, Joe Rogan, we get all that. But what I'm saying is, whoever's going to pay for that advertising space, they're expecting that to be real people that's listening to those songs, right? All those Drake hits, this, that, and the third, right? They're expecting real ears, real eyes to be on Spotify. Now, if they can sit there and get a bot farm and run up the numbers and turn a blind eye, right? They'll delete my fucking account and your account for bots, right? So the very first time I told you I got a song, one of my songs on my salute to Lorenzo, the French producer, one of the songs on there got on, people put your shit on random playlists, gang. It happens, gang. I don't even reach out for playlists. People will add you to a playlist. Somebody added one of my songs on my First Class Package, the Paris CD album, right, on Spotify. They added one of the songs. They get added on playlists all the time. Took one of the songs, put on the playlist. Boom. I'm going to say probably 2 months later, Spotify deleted the album from the whole album. I had nothing to do with it. But somebody added that song to a playlist. I guess they flagged the playlist for botting. Whether it did or it didn't, it doesn't matter. They don't ask you. They just delete the playlist, delete all the songs on it. And if the song is connected to an album, they delete the album. So I got deleted because that actual playlist featured my song. They deleted my whole album. I went and put the album back up. I took about a month or two to figure out, okay, I put the album back up, and therefore it's back up on streaming services. But I say all that to say this: Spotify will quickly find your song and delete your whole product, but not Drake. None of the bigger artists get deleted because, for one thing, they are in cahoots with them. They are part of the plan. They're part of the problem. They're a part of the scheme. They're a part of the big picture. So the big picture in this scenario, and like I said, I believe 100%, I believe RBX and anyone else involved, I believe that this guy is such a narcissist with such a desire to win and be in front and be in the Top Gun done data that he 100% would give the go-ahead to go ahead and bot these songs for years. For years. I don't believe that this is something that he wasn't aware of. I believe you really 100%. First of all, they want to charge you. Let's just be honest. They're going to put it somewhere because they got to pay these bot guys. So somewhere, somehow, you're going to be charged for this. So the artist has to know, okay, XYZ was used for promotion. What kind of promotion? Well, it was this, that, and the third, da. And a person like Drake 100% knows what's going on because that's why he did the lawsuit against UMG. So they would be forced to come out with, I told you he was going to burn everything down. So he did the lawsuit against UMG, talking about they botted this, they botted that, because he already knows that's what they do, right? But he was good with it and fine with it when he was winning. They don't mind because they're in cahoots. It's a lot of money to be spread around, gang. I'm just going to be honest. What it is right now is what we're seeing is People are getting tired of this. People are getting tired of getting played, and we're seeing a lot of things come to light, especially since this battle has occurred over a year and a half and some change, right? We've been seeing a lot of things that we never thought would ever be a problem now that they are becoming a problem. This lawsuit against Spotify that they failed to act on bot farmed Drake streams. It's starting with Drake because he's the biggest, but it's not going to end with Drake. But they're using Drake as an example. And yes, I do believe this may be a little form of like West Coast retaliation, low key. It might be, but end of the day, RBX has took it upon himself. And I'm going to read this article, but I 100% believe it because it takes a certain kind of person. Most artists would be fine with just having a nice run, make some money, do a good tour. No, I think this guy is obsessed with being at the top of the game. That's why he battled Kendrick in the first place. It was too many years of this guy being looked at as possibly being able to take that throne from him. And he's like, nobody's taking this throne, this perceived throne, because we know what they say is a throne of lies, right? So I personally, gang, I wouldn't want a throne of lies. I don't want to be on top if it means I got to memorize other people's rhymes and pretend I wrote them. Right? Hip hop is different. If you're making pop, that's one thing. If you're going to be the Shawn Mendes of rap, then you're going to be the Shawn Mendes of rap. But when you started to actually battle other rappers and throw shots and throw subs and want your name to be spoken in the top 10 of this hip hop situation, you wanted to be top five. That's when it became a problem. That's no longer Shawn Mendes anymore. Now you're really trying to get taken seriously. So when you're memorizing other people's rhymes and all these reference tracks are dropping, we got to have a problem. And this is the situation that we're in. I personally wouldn't want to be looked at as the top of the hip hop field, and I'm not writing anything. And I'm stealing songs, and I'm stealing swag, and I'm stealing all kind of people's, even down to their dialect. I'm stealing their slang. I don't want to be on top of the game if that's what I got to do. But some people don't care. They want that shit. Like, you know, the devil went down to Georgia type shit where they go and sell their soul just to be good at the fiddle, right? So some people want to be good at the fiddle and be at the top of their craft, and they'll do anything and say anything to be there. And we know that those kind of people will stop at nothing. And the funniest thing about that is they will accuse you of doing the same thing. Right? A lot of us be around people who are not always on the up and up. And what does a person that's not on the up and up do? They try to accuse you. They try to flip it around on you and make you the one that's lying, or you the one that's stealing or cheating. Right? A lot of people are distrustful because they're dishonest themselves. Right? I've got myself in the worst situations of just believing people at their word. I learned a long time ago, like gang, you got to stop believing these people, because a lot of people will lie. A lot of people will cheat, and a lot of people will steal. Just because you're honorable don't mean other people are. And a lot of people will say things that they themselves would do. And we've seen in the last couple months, especially his fans, they are going crazy about how he's the #1 streamed and how Kendrick streams are going down, or his followers and his monthly listeners are dropping. They love that. That's literally, gang, they really only have one thing left. They got one thing left, and it's these streams. If you take away the streams, we're going to get a lot of these people jumping off of buildings, gang. I'm just going to be honest. This is all they have. So the first thing they're going to do is disavow. They're going to say, it is not true. It is a lie. Who the hell is RBX? He ain't had a hit in 30 years. We don't care. They're going to attack the source. Right? I kind of wish RBX's name wasn't attached to it. Let's just be honest, because they're going to go after him. They're not going to attack the plausibility of what's being said in a lawsuit by very credible people with a bunch of receipts. Like I said, they're not going to listen to none of that. They're going to attack RBX, and they're going to attack the whole lawsuit and basically saying no one believes it. Now, what they're saying in here about some of these regions that these streams are coming from don't even have the amount of people that the streams are being deciphered from, where the streams are coming in mass quantities. They don't even have the population for that. That's a problem. That's a problem. I 100% believe that Drake has billions of streams. They said, so they just came out, I want to say about a couple months back, that Drake broke the record, but he became the first artist to surpass 120 billion streams. That's a very, on Spotify, right? That's a very tall feat. That's very, very admirable. Let's give them that. Let's say, okay, you got that. Nobody could take that from you. You're light years ahead of everyone. Adele, everyone. No one can touch that. And I 100% believe that was a lot of fake bots and fake streams. I think that right there shows you it's an astronomical number that can't be attained normally, right? There has to be something fishy for something like that. You're going to say, Challz, this guy been doing it for 15 years. Of course he should. Yeah, he has been doing it for 15 years, but they've been doing a lot of sketchy shit for 15 years. I don't know if you know how much money is involved in this music business, and I don't know how much you know how many things they do to keep the status quo, that to keep you off that radio and to keep such and such on it. They've been complaining about this shit for 20 plus years. The payola and the mix, the controlling of the radio stations, who controls what, making it so that there can't be no monopolizing, right? A lot of these laws have been created because these people with the radio and the music industry have made a lot of money by doing things really, really backwards and funny. If you can control the DJs and you can control the radio, you can control the industry. And a lot of times people want to measure your success by you being on the radio or how you sell records. Gang, it is a manipulated market. It is something that is orchestrated to be a certain way. They don't tell you that that person really didn't sell them units. They just want you to believe, yo, such and such is a really big deal. And they sell hundreds of millions of records and albums and streams and this, that, and the third, because they need that to be the truth. So then you could go out and play it and feel like it's a really big deal. And especially with Drake being in a 360 deal, they have like Lucian Grain said, I have a considerable amount of money invested. So they want their money back every kind of way possible. So at the end of the day, yes, I 100% believe that Spotify makes a big bag of money from these advertisers, the more people that they can appear to be streaming at a high level. There's so much to unpack. There's so much to unpack, gang. Yes, his numbers are going up in a drought, gang. When everything's coming down, they're saying hip hop is at its lowest ever. Even Kendrick, the mighty Kendrick, his stuff organically in a real world, people are going to listen to you a few months, then they're going to fall off. He had his biggest upkick of listeners in history of his entire career after this battle. Yes, it's going to go way up. He did the Super Bowl. It's going to go way up. But the monthly listeners at some point does have to get back to a normal pace. They've been laughing and teasing and calling foul for the last, I want to say, 4 or 5 months. What's going on with Kendrick numbers? You see the drop. Drake's is consistent. Well, if you got consistent bot makers, gang, if you got a consistent scheme that you've been doing for 10 years straight, if you're locked in with Spotify the way Drake is, I told you, they already sued Drake a few years ago. Was it 2015? One of them years that Drake got sued. I don't know if it was between 2015 and 2018, one of them years, where that Spotify got sued, another class action lawsuit that they had to settle because they couldn't fight it that Drake was on too many playlists. They're rigging the game doing that. They put him on playlists that he didn't belong. They rigged the game. They got sued and they lost and they had to pay. So we're right back here with this dirty pool. If you're coming into this thing, I watched that episode of Vice. What's homeboy from Baltimore? That Baltimore rapper, Chad Focus, he was on that episode of Vice. When you watch that episode, you realize they're playing very, very dirty pool. They are obscuring a lot of facts. They are making things look shinier than they're supposed to be. And they're doing a lot of things to tilt this game in the favor of the labels. They can make it look like anything you want. Chad Focus put a lot of money. He went to jail. They made an example out of it, but he didn't do nothing that these labels ain't already doing. And if you really pay attention, you watch that episode, you realize this ain't nothing fair about this game whatsoever. You put a lot of faith in this about, oh, now they talk about, oh, ain't no records of hip-hop on the Billboard. That means there's some better hip-hop out. And there ain't a lot of shit they can fake and make money off. They're making money right now legitimately, right? These guys are making money in their own way. They're doing real music. That's why Designer coming back rapping, right? Right now, rapping is back. The shift is back, and I'm going to do a video on that. But right now, real rap is back. And we're loving it, the hip-hop heads. We don't want nothing that really potentially could be number one on the Billboard charts anyway. It's probably absolute trash if it have to 99% of the time, right? Yeah, you're going to get that one joint. You get G and X, this, that, and the third. You're going to have a something that's going to break the rules, right? An exception to the rules. So, end of the day, we good. We just want our hip-hop the way we like it, and we're going to get back to basics. But at the end of the day, this thing can be skewed any kind of way. And what we're seeing is the fallout of it. Now we're getting to a point where things can actually be challenged in court now. We just had to eat it and do conjecture. Well, we all know Drake is biting too. We've been saying that for a year straight. Well, Drake, number one, I've been saying that on all my videos about the lawsuit. Since the lawsuit was brought up, since the allegations was brought up, I said he's going to be exposed himself. He doesn't really want this lawsuit to go to court because if it goes to court, he's going to be the number one culprit of the botting. But his fans don't care. I said he literally, I've been saying this for a year. I said when the word gets out, when the paperwork comes out and whatever discovery that he actually does get, his name gonna be right there in the discovery. But he doesn't care because he doesn't care about hip hop anymore. He doesn't care about his relationship or his reputation anymore because that's shot. Anyone with half a brain can see that his relationships have been shot. He's barely doing features with anybody. All of his reputations, everything that he got going on in this business, they're on a touch and go basis. It ain't really a lot of people running up to do features and do this, that, and the third. Drake is almost a pariah right now. You can say what you want, but that's a fact. So at this point, he doesn't care about the whole organization. He doesn't care about this whole industry, this hip hop. That's why he won't do no interviews with hip hop outlets, because he's moved on. So he'll blow this whole shit up with himself in it. He'll sink the boat with him in the boat. So that's why he doesn't care that he can go and get discovery and see who's getting on the bots. Even if he knows his fans, even if his name comes out on a paper with all the bots, they will say that that's a lie. They will go online and say that every other name on the paper, every other name in the paperwork that got bots attached, whoever it is, Remy Ma, whoever it is, they're going to say, they're going to believe every single one, and they're going to not believe Drake. So they're going to say, that's a lie that Drake never bots, da. So he knows his diehards aren't going anywhere. And if he can just get some level of integrity back by going to court and showing that all of these MFers are doing the same thing, then guess what? That's a win for him. He'll blow himself up to show that everybody else. He wants to show you that Kendrick bots. He wants to show you that 3LW, they bot, everybody bots, right? Taylor Swift bot. He wants to show that everybody bots. And that way we could level the playing field, kind of like Tekashi, when now that everybody's snitching. Right? Now he back outside, got his chest out, right? So what I'm saying is he wants to show the world that he's not the only one like you think he is. He would really love to show you some reference tracks by a whole lot of other rappers that you like, right? He would love to find that, but that's going to be really difficult to find. They try to pin something on Dot, but it ain't work. They try to say Kendrick wrote this, wrote that. I'm sorry. They try to say Baby Keem wrote this, wrote that for Kendrick. Didn't work. So they back to the nonsense. But at the end of the day, I want to read this article because I 100% believe that this is happening. I 100% believe that he is in full knowledge of it, approves it, and 100% has no problem with this because he wants to look like the king. Imagine the alternative. Imagine him taking a slide, which he was really actively taking a slide. Drake hasn't had really the success he's accustomed to in years, but he's been able to mask that with hit records like singles, this, and the third. But his stuff, hip hop as a whole, the music industry has been on a slow decline, but Drake has been on a slow decline too. But imagine that decline without the bots. Imagine that decline without the big numbers, because they put so much on the numbers that without the numbers, he has no identity. A lot of these people only rock with him because he's perceived to be successful. Some people have no real sense of purpose in this world. So they want to latch on to successful things so then they feel successful. It's like people that buy a watch that's 10 times more expensive than it should be just because it appears to be a symbol of success. People will buy that watch and won't pay their rent so they can have that watch. They'll buy some shoes they can't afford. They'll buy a shirt. They'll buy some jeans they cannot afford just to appear successful. So by going around bumping with your convertible, whatever you're driving, and you're bumping the so-called most successful artists in the history of freaking rap, you're bumping Drake going down Venice Beach or Miami Beach or whatever, you're bumping that, you appear to be successful. All races, creeds, and colors, all of them want to appear to be successful. So Drake makes these people feel in some kind of way successful. That's why they get so miffed and they get so upset when you challenge these numbers, because without the numbers, what else do they have? Right? Most people like an artist for what the artist can do artistically. Well, when we start talking about artistically with Drake, you start throwing up asterisks. Well, he didn't really write that one. Well, he didn't write that one either. They're saying the whole album was taken from Weekend and Party. Like, it starts to get murky when we start talking about artistry. So they don't really have that. You got a couple good songs, but there's a lot of people with a couple good songs. End of the day, they don't have they can't fall back on, well, his pen game, his artistry. They can't fall back on none of that, so they fall back on numbers. Let me read this article, had this conversation. Spotify failed to act on bot farmed Drake streams, a class action lawsuit alleges. This is on the Pitchfork website and is written by Jazz Monroe. All right, let's talk about it. A new class action lawsuit against Spotify is taking the fight over streaming to federal court. Backed by data purporting to show that Drake in particular has benefited from billions of fake streams, the lawsuit accuses Spotify of turning a blind eye to exploitation of its payout model, which allocates royalties to artists based on their share of total streaming volume. So I told you what it is they know when someone's getting abnormal streams and abnormal play, right? They know that. They can go and find the smallest MFer, like somebody with 3,000-4,000 fake streams. They can identify that and delete that. They delete that album, delete that whole artist thing, so the artist can never come back on Spotify. They can do that. But for some reason, in this situation, they can't quite tell who did what with who. They're very protective of these numbers as well. How they amass this information. But let me continue. The alleged bot-driven streaming fraud causes massive financial harm to legitimate artists and other rights holders, the lawsuit claims. While Drake's streaming data is cited as evidence of widespread streaming fraud, he is not accused of wrongdoing. Only Spotify is named as a defendant via a spokesperson. Spotify said it in no way benefits from the industry-wide challenge of artificial streaming. I disagree, because if you can get, it's a very, very, the margins are low in that business, so you got to put up numbers. If you can prove that you're putting up mega massive numbers, advertisers going to have to pay mega massive dollars to advertise in that space. That's a win for Spotify. Let's be clear. They win the more streams appear to be on that thing. If they get the normal streams, organic streams, that's not quite what this looks like. We're talking 37 billion fake streams. That's a lot of shmoney, gang. I'm just going to be honest. So yes, they are very incentivized to do this fake stream botting, farming situation that they got going on. Allegedly got going on. Let me continue. Filed in California federal court on Sunday, the lawsuit lists rapper RBX as the lead plaintiff, with other members of the general public similarly situated, given as constituents of the class action. The basis of the action is that artists with accurate streaming data suffers when others have inflated figures because their proportional share of Spotify royalties shrinks. Like I said in the beginning, it's a big pool of money coming in from the advertisers, Now, if they're saying that Drake gets so much more than everybody else, he's taking from the other people. They're doing regular numbers. If they're faking Drake's numbers, he's going to get a bigger bag than he deserves. And UMG is getting a bigger bag than they deserve. Spotify benefits because they take theirs off the top, so it don't matter who gets what. The lawsuit is not about necessarily Spotify, because Spotify is jerking the advertisers. They're not jerking me and you. Well, they're jerking me and you too, but end of the day, Spotify is jerking the advertisers. Then they put that advertising money in a pool, but they say, don't touch that, because most of that went to Drake. And if they got to deal with Drake, which is probably, let's just be honest, that's probably the crust of the thing. They probably like, we're going to let you do these numbers on the hush QT, but yeah, we're going to need a bigger percentage out of that, right? It's a whole thing, gang. It's hundreds of millions of dollars on the table. So if you scratch my back, I scratch yours. I look the other way, wink, wink. You just give me a bigger portion. It's like hustling. It's like anything else. Somebody gonna want a bigger portion, a bigger bag, if they letting you do more things with your custody than you're supposed to. If they're illegally letting you do this, that, and the third, then guess what? They're gonna want a little more of that shmoney dance that you're doing over there. Let me get some of that rain coming down. Let me continue. The lawsuit alleges that a non-trivial percentage of Drake's 37 billion streams appear to be the work of a sprawling network of bot accounts. Evidence includes data showing abnormal VPN usage. In short, time spans with high streaming volume, such as a period of 2024, when some 250,000 streams of Drake's No Face registered in the United Kingdom were geo-mapped back to Turkey. So let me try to break down what I think I just read, right? They're basically saying 250,000 streams that were reported to be from the UK were actually in Turkey when they geo-mapped them. That's a problem. That is a big problem. It appeared that the work of a sprawling network of bot accounts with abnormal VPN usage. So they're hiding these. This is very elaborate, gang. They're hiding each account behind a VPN so you can't track it. But they can geo-map it, right? They can't say, okay, this account, da-da-da, but they can geo-map where all the activities coming from. Now, if you're a bot maker, you have limited places where you can say this stuff is coming from. it's a certain kind of way this stuff works, right? With the technology. So if you're trying to get a whole bunch of streams out of one patch, you got to use a certain area. So they say, it's from the UK because there's a lot of people. No, they're from Turkey when they geo-map backwards. And they wouldn't go to court with this if they couldn't prove it, right? If these streams are inauthentic, the lawsuit notes, Drake received royalties that Spotify should have paid to other artists. The cost of fraudulent boosting of Drake's music is estimated to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Hundreds of millions of dollars because they're faking streams and they're taking the money from the pool that should go to everybody else. They're taking a huge portion, and that is fraud. Though Spotify prohibits streaming fraud, the lawsuit goes on, the platform has little incentive to crack down on fake streams because bot accounts boost user figures and help them sell ads. So this is why you would do such a thing, because you're selling ads. You're selling ad time at a higher amount and a higher rate, because guess what? We got 250,000 people over there in the UK just streaming Drake just alone, just no face. You got to pay us because then we got to distribute that to Drake. He's going to want his money, so we want ours. And you're getting a whole lot of people in the UK you would normally haven't reached. And that also goes to the effect of they have a program in Spotify where we can advertise. Gang, it gets murky. It has a program in Spotify, in Spotify music and your distributor, whoever distributes your music, like DistroKid, where you can make an advertisement and it'll supposedly shoot it to these regions and this, that, and the third, where I pay or the artist pays them a fee to shoot it to these places. Well, guess what? If them accounts is all fake, they're registering them as real accounts. You're shooting your advertising to a fake account. And you're getting charged for all of that fake nonsense. And that fake account definitely ain't going to stream your ass. It's streaming for one person and one person only. All right? Let me continue. A Spotify spokesperson said the company would not comment on pending litigation, but added, quote, "We heavily invest in always improving best-in-class systems to combat artificial streaming and safeguard artist payouts with strong protections like removing fake streams, withholding royalties, and charging penalties." There's a lot of ways that people are scheming. People are taking like rain, making rain sounds and putting it on a loop, and they're getting paid from that. They're taking anything and looping it and putting it on there, and when people click it, they get paid from it. They're taking other people's music and they'll loop it a little bit, put it up as that person, so you go to play something else and it's somebody else. And before they catch it, hundreds of thousands of streams have went to that fake person's fake account. So it's a lot of things that they're doing with these schemes and scams. It's crazy, gang. They're putting a blip of a sound and they'll put a blip of a sound up and then go ahead and bot that over and over and over. Now Spotify got to pay them until they catch that that's not a real song. It is a lot of scheming and scamming they're doing, gang. And Spotify is allegedly working tirelessly to fight it. But at the end of the day, this Drake stuff, you know what's going on. Let me continue. The spokesperson cited a 2024 case in which Spotify found that a fraudulent artist who falsely obtained $10 million in royalties, he falsely got $10 million in royalties out of them, gang. Falsely obtained $10 million in royalties from various streaming services, had extracted just $60,000 from Spotify. The company attributed this to its above average detection of artificial streaming. So they're saying it can't happen because we would have already caught it. We don't allow it. And look at this guy we caught. He only got $60,000 out of us. He got $10 million from everybody else. So we the best, right? They DJ Khaled of this streaming shit. RBX's attorney, RBX is the rapper who's featured on The Chronic and this, that, and the third, right? RB to the motherfucking X, right? RBX attorney Mark Pifko said in a press release, "Not everyone who makes a living in the music business is a household name like Taylor Swift. There are thousands of songwriters, performers, and producers who earn revenue from music streaming who you've never heard of. These people are the backbone of the music business, and this case is about them. That is a fact. That's who really drawing in this money consistently. All the little guys that they're trying to bump out the way so they can pay Taylor Swift and Drake and all these other people more money. Right? Taylor Swift had removed their shit off the streaming services until they all agreed to pay her more money. Especially Spotify. Let me continue. Drake recently appealed the dismissal of his own lawsuit involving alleged bot farming of fake streams. His filing against Universal Music Group claims, among other things, that the label illegally boosted Kendrick Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us, How he know that? But he couldn't prove it, but he know they did it. A representative for Drake, when reached by Pitchfork, declined to comment on the new class action lawsuit. Gang, this is unprecedented area. We've never seen a lawsuit like this against that names a major artist and points directly at him. There's more information about what they're saying, and there's more details about it, but this is the crux of the issue. They're saying that they can pinpoint where all the fake streams are coming from, and if they can do it, Spotify should have been able to do it. I'm going to go on a gamble right here, gang. They're going to let this go for a while. They will settle this out of court. I'm just going to be honest. I do not see this going to court, because then these people are going to drag up a whole bunch of nonsense. Spotify got a big bag, but they got to just worry about how to keep the damage, right? How low they can keep this damage. There ain't no way that they let this go to court unless they really ready to go balls out. Or like, listen, we fighting it? They fight. All right, then we clutching it. So I think what they gonna do, they gonna quietly let this ride for a little bit, see how strong the case is, try to figure out what do they know, what do they not know, da-da-da. And then as they're gonna also look at public sentiment. If the public sentiment is we don't believe them, da-da-da, which is gonna be from the Drake fans, but from most of us, we know 100%. We know 100% that this is almost a lock, that this is exactly what happened. And the fact that they've been doing it as recently as 2024, after all of that nonsense, all of that online drudgery about Kendrick bought it this, Kendrick bought it that, to still buy No Face, to me, is crazy. Now, you could also, let's play devil's advocate. You could say it ain't got nothing to do with Drake buying it. It could be his label. It could be anybody. It could be somebody buying it that has no control over. You could say all of that. But to me, I believe that 100% OVO and his team and that sound and that whole block, they'll do anything to get in front of Kendrick. You saw that they was putting $100,000 out in the street, this, that, and the third, to find dirt on him so they could diss him. They did the same shit to Pusha T. We already heard all these stories. I 100% believe they ain't got no problem throwing some money out, because money begets more money, gang. So when you could put money out and get the money to return, we already heard of those stories of record labels buying the whole warehouse full of records because they wasn't selling, and make it look like, oh yeah, he sold 100,000 units. He sold this. They sitting in the warehouse. What they do is they sit in the warehouse, and then they pay for them up front. And then they say, yeah, he sold this, that, and third. Then they try to push him out later and try to get the money returned, because after it gets hot, then everybody wants a record now, right? Where's that new record? They want the record now, right? Where's that fucking Bad Bunny, whatever it is. They want the record now. I'm talking about when they was doing records, gang, like when they was doing vinyl and CDs, da-da-da. When it came to that, back in the day, the record labels was buying it. They would buy a bunch of their own records. Then they would say, it's shipping at XYZ, and then they would try to flip them records again. All right? Let me know what you think in the comments, man. I think this, I 100% believe even up to now. And I honestly will go on a limb and say even the Iceman is going to get bodied. They ain't catch him yet. You got to understand what you're dealing with, gang. This guy's like, until you catch me, you didn't catch me. This is my opinion. I feel like this guy is diabolical. I feel like ain't no way they're gonna let Iceman come out and do 150. They ain't doing that. Ain't no way. When you smoke them, if you got them, they got the bots. They gonna smoke them, gang. I'm gonna leave it at that. I 100% believe that they are not done with the bots by no stretch. It's too much money on the table, and that lawsuit, they could just pay that. They could tell the people that's involved, they could be like, listen, we're going to all have to kick in for this lawsuit, gang. It's a whole thing going on. Kick in for the lawsuit and get back to business as usual. So I 100% believe that this case will not, just like I told you that Drake's case would not make it to court. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be real tough to get this in court. Either they're going to find a way to get it done on a technicality, get it thrown out, or they're going to settle this. You will not see a long, drawn-out court case for this. I promise you that, because this going to get worser, right? This going to get worser, right? So, end of the day, I think we about to see this quietly just smooth itself out, probably get settled out of court, and Drake will not say one word about this. But we know what we going to do. We going to keep this going. CLBMG. Listen, head on over to black-yeti.com. Let them know who sent you. Also, every Wednesday night, we go live on The What Show. Me, TJ, and Fliz. I got a Patreon coming. I'm going to tap y'all in as soon as that's ready. All right, I'm going to catch y'all on that flip side. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine. Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. black-yeti.com.
CLB.
Get my coat, get my sheepskin, grab my wallet, get my pocket knife, and get that hat right there. We out. Grab my pocket knife too. Let's go. When I first came to the city, niggas didn't believe me. I just wanted to join a team and throw assist pass easily. 6 man off the bench, alley-oop pass freely. Suit up for one game and hope a scout might see me. But nah, niggas is greedy, wasn't rocking with him. Unplugged the scoreboard, put a lock on the gym. Told me to power forward, point guard at the rim. And left me with no center and a ball full of phlegm. Not knowing that I'm a dog, a Rottweiler within, with the heart of a pit bull that don't bark for pretend. My bites cut deep, break the bone and the skin. With the level of hustlenomics you do not comprehend. So first I took a block down on the west side end, and then secured a spot with some goons and some kin. And then sent out some flyers, let the games begin. And in 6 months time, the city like that's him. Oh yeah, he the one that moved the hustle to the burbs. And yeah, he the one that knocked the hustlers off the curb. And yeah, he the one that set up shop without a word. And he the one that got it cracking, and all he did was rapping by the Hooters. I kept killers from being shooters. Put a mic in a thug's hand, now he loyal like Pats fans. Take a man off the streets past the needles and crack cans. Promise mama to keep him safe, then put some food in his face, and he'll kill for you. But I don't need him for that. Click like, click share, tell them bitches we back. Share the whole location, tell them niggas where we at. Cause we out here, we ain't the cheese, we the trap.